What are the reasons students are trying to cancel their contract?
There are a variety of reasons. Some students say there are financial reasons. Some students say, some students will change schools.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll transfer to a different school. Some decide they want to stay home. It's frustrating from the housing perspective because I think a lot of students leave thinking that they'll save money if they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that it's typically not that much cheaper to live off campus
Mm-hmm.
if you consider all the different things that go into the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, when you move into an apartment, you have a big deposit that you have to pay, you pay for cable and electric and heat and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the residence hall, the bill to stay in the residence halls, it might, when you compare it to say $500 a month in an apartment, well, the apartment's gonna look cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really add all the costs together, it really isn't that much cheaper. And I'm afraid a lot of students leave thinking that they would save money.
Okay. So the next one is, how do you feel about the contract system? Like the per semester and per year, but
Okay.
why not by month?
Oh, okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Everything that we have in the residence halls, all of the amenities and everything that we do to take care of the buildings is built on a budget of a certain amount of people staying in the residence halls. So let's say we were to have a monthly contract, if people would just move in and move out, there are certain fixed costs that come along with every student who lives here, and we have to pay those same costs regardless if they live here a month or a year. So if we allowed students to live here for a month, it would mean that overall housing would be a lot more expensive for everyone.
Who usually recommend us to sign up for 1 year. And then I heard lots of students when they come in to stay and they're like, I really want to move out one semester, but I already signed up for 1 year.
If all the students who want to live on campus will tell us that they want to live on campus somewhere between, say now,
Okay.
and August. If somebody comes in and we give them, let's say we had a 1 semester contract for some people, the greatest demand that we have for residence halls is in the summer. And that's when we have people to fill it. If that person takes a space for the semester and then doesn't come back in that space, the likelihood of us filling that space in the next semester is a lot lower.
Okay.
And so again, what that does is if we have say 15% of our students or of our rooms that aren't full, it means that all the students are paying a little bit more because we aren't collecting rent from that person who left at mid-semester.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying? It drives all of our rates up to cover all the repairs and everything that we need to do because that one person took a spot in the very beginning and then no longer is paying for a spot in January. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Okay.
makes sense. So that means this is extra. Like that means if there's like more room next semester, there's more room is empty, the school will increase the rate.
Well,
Or-
what it means is, no, it wouldn't get increased that semester, but it does mean that it costs us more to operate housing in general. So next
okay.
year, instead of, like this year, we'll probably have a 3% increase, we might have to raise it 4% next year because
Okay.
we didn't fill all of our rooms.
Okay. How safe do you feel? Do you think students feel in the room? How safe?
I have a feeling there's a follow-up question coming up for this
Yeah.
one. I think students have every reason, from my perspective, students have every reason to feel safe in their residence halls because there are a lot of things that we do to try to keep the students safe. Not the least of which is we have a police office, like a police department right here on campus. But we also have the RAs that do rounds every night that are checking to make sure our doors aren't propped and there's not any sort of safety hazard or we had an incident recently, which I'm guessing you're aware of. But that incident was really rare. I've been working in housing for 2 years. but I've been at UCO for 10 years, and it's the first time I've ever heard of something like that happening.
So are there any devices in the building, like the dorm building, that student can like pull up or just click on for the emergency help?
Starting next year, we'll have an app that the students can download for free.
Okay.
That's a direct line to security. That it's if you're walking across campus and you feel like for some reason you might be unsafe, you can press a button tell it how much time you expect it to take. So say this walk is going to take about 10 minutes. Well, if you don't turn it off 10 minutes from then, it calls the police department automatically.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this new app is going to bring a lot of new safety features.
So you guys are planning next semester, or it's already
The
prepared for that?
I was in on a committee that looked at all the different products that were available, and it's in the process right now of being selected, or of signing the contract.
And it's free for students to download. Okay.
So I that doesn't fall under me specifically. I can't
Yeah,
promise
yeah,
you,
yeah.
but when I left it, it sure looked like we were going to have it for next year.
So do you guys have any other way to improve the safety? Like apart from that, and then apart from the police and apart from student, be careful, like aware of the awareness, because usually, like everyone can come into the campus, and who knows.
I understand. I'll say two things. One is that we, when the quad was built, we put security cameras up in that, and we're going to, eventually we'll have security cameras in every building, so that will help us. I hope to have some more in this summer, some more security cameras, and those cameras would be on every entrance and exit.
But not the hallway.
Not in the hallway.
Not the hallway.
There's some debate about whether or not to have security cameras in the hallway. I personally feel like it's a little bit intrusive. So I would say the security cameras is one, but another one is we find that the most common crime on campus in the residence halls is a crime of opportunity, where people aren't necessarily looking to steal things, for example, but if you leave your residence hall door open, and they might do it just because they look left, they look right, nobody's there, there's your wallet, and they'll take it. I was just talking to my folks this morning about people people taping their doors closed so that they don't lock, just so they don't have to carry a key.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you can see why.
don't carry key as well.
Yes, and you can see why that is probably the most important thing that we can do safety-wise, is educate our students about how awful that is and what a bad idea that is, because it lets anybody in your room. Like anybody who just comes and pulls on your door can get into your room, and that would be the biggest safety threat I could think of.
Okay. So how do you feel about the robbery which you say is really rare? Like
I hate that it happened. It's very rare, and it's even as far as not just the residence halls, but it's very rare on our campus to have a crime like that. I spoke to the student whose room it was, and I feel awful about it. But going forward, to me, it's about how do you prevent it from happening again. And so one of the steps we've taken is, we know that the student who got in with following somebody else in the door. And so that's why you see all the signs on the doors now that say, don't let anybody in behind you, because that's how people like that get in. Is that they'll just stand there maybe by the door and just wait.
And then there's someone.
And then they come in, and it's hard for students, and I understand that, but it's probably happened to you, because it's happened to me, where somebody will walk in behind you, and you look at him and you go, should I let him in or not?
But they're already in sometimes.
And as a student, we need to be able to encourage them, or as staff, we need to encourage the students to say, sorry, do you live here? Do you have an ID? And I know that's a lot to ask, but that's how these folks are getting into our residence halls. They don't have keys, and our doors are locked. But we can't keep students from letting people in. That's the hardest part.